for March 21st, 2024. I'm Karen Ware, the chairperson for the City of Clemson's Board of Zoning and Appeals, and I want to welcome the three of y'all for coming this evening, and also remind you to turn off your cell phones or make them inactive in any way so they don't ring. Tonight's first order of business is to elect the 2024-25 chair and vice chair for Clemson's Zoning of Appeals Board. Will someone like to make a motion for the chair?
I nominate Karen for chair.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Are there any other nominations? Okay. Everyone in favor of Karen Ware being the chairperson, please raise their hand. Okay. I'll get another year. Yay. Would someone like to make a motion for a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Valerie.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? All right, everyone in favor of Valerie being the vice chair for the Board of Zoning and Appeals, raise their hand. All right. It's girls against the boys. No, I'm just kidding. All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions to the minutes of the December 23rd BZA meeting that we had of 2023? Questions, amendments? If there's none, do we have a motion to accept the minutes for the City of Clemson's December 23 minutes?
Motion to accept.
Second?
Second.
Show of hands of all who approve. All right, likewise disapprove. Accepted. Thank you very much. Tonight we have two items on the agenda. One of them is 24-V001 for Noah Waldera.
Yep.
All right. And what that is Noah is requesting a variance from table 19-304A1 and A4 to construct a 17-foot, 6-inch from the front property line where a 25-foot is required at 301 Woodland Way. This is also known as variance 000-215-2024. Jacob, would you like to take over now, please?
Yep. I really have not much to add. The property is zoned R20, so Karen is right. The front setback is 25 feet. Mr. Waldera is asking to come 17 feet 6 inches to the front property line. It is a detached carport. And honestly, with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Mr. Waldera to give his presentation.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pretty self-explanatory. I think this is a pretty good diagram here showing what I'm requesting. Like you had said, I'm requesting a variance into the front setback. What makes this situation unique is that my property line, which you can see the dark black line there, it's a unique property line, and to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure why it was, the property was developed that way back in early 61, I think is when the house was built. My property line kind of dives down to the house. I had my architect put the current street line on there, so it's not very easily seen, but you can see that dashed, it says edge of pavement, white line. That's the actual street line. That's the perimeter of the street, kind of the white line on the far either right or left side of the street, which is where most of my neighbors' property lines are located along. They're almost along that line. For some reason, and you can see in some of the other photos if we flip through them in a minute, you'll see that my property line dives down into the middle of the yard, and to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure why. Most of everything you see there is my grass, and there's actually a pond and a number of trees, and if I were to stand you out there, you wouldn't think that it was anything other than my front yard. Long and short of it is, my property line gets set back, therefore the setback gets pushed further back into the property. So I'm requesting a setback, so I'm putting a carport in, because we currently don't have a garage, nor do we have a carport. In the gray area there where it says proposed carport, that's where it would be. That is currently the parking pad where we park cars today. So I'm not asking for anything outside of where we already are parking our vehicles. And so one of the posts, two of the 4 posts will be outside the setback. 2 of them will be inside. One would be 7 feet inside. The other would be 5 feet inside the setback. Had a normal property line, I would be 39 feet and 42 feet outside of the kind of a normal property line if you looked at both of the next door neighbors. So I would be, what is that, 39? Yeah, I'd be, 5-6 feet outside of one and whatever, 7 feet outside of the other, if I had a normalized property line. Trying to think what else. Oh, the property has some, as you guys probably all know, woodland in the neighborhood directly behind us. The topography is very up and down in our lot, and this is actually a pretty good example right here. So I tied the yellow caution tape there on the, I had my surveyor stick a stake at the corner point of the property line, or at the point where it kind of comes back up toward Woodland Way, and then I tied it off on the next property line, and that's another good example of how it dives back down. Had it been a normal property line, I wouldn't be standing here today. I would just be into in for a permit. Anyway, so you can see everything falls off. So I can't push the carport any further to, that would be the north. It just drops off. It drops off a cliff down to the little creek down there. Trying to think what else. Architecturally speaking, I don't know how in the weeds you guys get with that sort of thing, but it will match what we're seeing. It's not kind of a typical carport. It'll match architecturally with the rest of the home. So what you will see will be similar to the sunroom there on the end. It'll be about, I think 2 or 3 feet lower, but it'll have the same roof lines and kind of be indistinguishable from the home itself.
I got a question.
Sure.
Who owns the property between your line and the street?
I'm guessing it's the city owns it. I'm guessing it's part of the city right away for the road, for Woodland. I haven't looked it up, to be honest with you, but it's all part of, if you look on the city records, the city GIS records, it actually shows my property line skirting the street just like everybody else's property lines. But when I had a survey done when I purchased the house 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, about 2 years ago, I had a survey done just because I was curious about what was going on with the creek in the back and what may be going on back there. And I didn't expect to see this. And so when I was getting ready to do the carport, I remembered that it was this goofy property line. But to answer your question, I don't know exactly, but my assumption is it's city property.
And would the city have any use for that property?
No, we looked to see if there's any easement for any utilities or something on those lines, and there is not.
So it just
we
looks
have no
like
water,
when you were putting the curve in, you had more land than you need.
Yeah, I guess they just made some extra there for whatever reason. I'm not sure.
Okay.
We haven't really been able to determine why it's shaped that way.
The only thing I can think of, to be honest with you, is that when they originally designed My gut is they probably thought, oh, we'll make a little bit larger curve there, is my thought.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, a little bit bigger curve coming out this way. Then they probably realized that this lot drops straight off in the back, and so there's not really room to stick a house, and so they probably, I'm guessing, kind of on the fly, scooch the road over a little bit, and just didn't need all of the property that they kind of thought that they were going to need for that kind of loop, or for that.
So now I have a question.
Sure.
Or a couple of them. So where you have the yellow tape,
Yep.
is that's squaring it off where the location's gonna be, or it's gonna be on top of the pad that's there?
That yellow tape's a property line.
Okay, that yellow tape's the property line, that's what I thought. And so you'll not be cutting any of those trees down? Okay, I see right there, so
This
it's,
is the yellow tape that is going to be the carport.
okay.
Yeah, correct.
Side view of the
There are
house.
no trees are coming down. And so that's a kind of a brick, it's a brick little landing pad. That's where we park our cars today. So I can't remember if I've got another photo in here or not that shows where the cars are parked, where we typically park. We come down the driveway and you take a hard left, which is now straight into the sunroom, and we park in those kind of two spots there, left and right, and that yellow outline is the outline of the carport. That's actually the four corners of the carport. The post will even sit, just a touch, probably 2 feet inside that, kind of roughly 2.5 feet inside that yellow square that you're looking at there.
Okay.
And
Did you have a question, Melanie?
I do.
I,
So looking at that top picture,
Yep,
the street is on the right,
to the left.
To the left.
to the left.
Yeah,
Okay, so I was trying to get my bearings.
Yep, you're
Okay.
left, and it
You
goes
can't
straight up.
hardly see
Okay,
his
it makes
house.
sense there. Okay, I see it, thank you.
Yeah.
When you're there, you can't hardly, when you
Yeah.
drive around the curve, you can't hardly see his house or anything.
Okay.
and you had mentioned a small garage. Where would that be in that picture?
So I actually marked that out too. So a small kind of called golf cart garage. So
That's
that,
on the right side?
yes. So Jacob is highlighting right there that little area. It's roughly 8 feet by I think 18. What I've designed so far is roughly 8 by 18 feet, and that is not within the setback at all. That's outside of the setback. So the only piece of what you're looking at here that's in the setback is on the far left-hand side, about 4 feet in from that, right, exactly right about where Jacob is putting his cursor. That's the setback line, and that'll be a couple feet that side of it.
Okay.
And as you scroll down, the photograph that showed a rendering, is that an exact rendering of what you anticipate building?
That's where I am today, and there's one. There are a couple of others in there too. I think they're a little bit better.
I'm sorry, I cannot rotate the images. Turns out we upgraded Adobe. We don't have that feeling.
Tilt yours over there, right?
Usually if you go up there to edit,
I know, it says that I have to pay for an upgrade if I want to
oh
rotate.
my gosh.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
right, we do.
So if you tilt your head hard left,
Yeah, we've seen that. So I guess what I'm asking is,
right?
if this is what you're going to build, there's not going to be any changes that would affect what you've got there.
Not materially, no. I mean, it would be, what I'm looking for variance-wise are those two leftmost or bottom, posts. The exterior of it is, I haven't gone through the process here within the city, so I don't know what permitting is going to ask for, but what I want to do is do something that is similar to the home, so it looks seamless. I believe that our sunroom was a secondary addition to the home, and they did an excellent job, whoever ended up.
Yeah, the designer really did good.
They did a great job with it, right? And so what I want to do is just kind of make an extension of that. I don't want it to be drastically different. The materials, the fascia will be the same. It doesn't really show it on these renderings because this was really just, my architect had done this so I could get something to you guys to show you kind of locationally where it all goes. But design of the roof line. We'll have shingles, along the front of it, similar to the front of the house, so it'll all kind of blend together. The pitch line of the roof will be the same as the rest of the house, so it won't.
So it won't be tall or anything?
No, actually, I want it to be a little bit low. I want it to be lower. So they originally designed it. The architect designed it to be the same height as the house, but it just scale-wise, it didn't look right to me, and so I wanted it dropped, and so she dropped it to either 2 or 3 feet. And it may come even down from there. To be honest with you, I don't want some big, car. I just want something that's, big enough to get the cars in. But I don't want it to look like you could park a motorhome in there. You know what I mean? And that's, and then like I said, the golf cart garage part of it. That I don't own a golf cart today, but some place to keep a lawnmower and keep some things enclosed because we don't have a shed. We don't have a place for a shed. We don't have, clearly, we don't have a garage. Don't have any kind of, storage area. So just a little spot to keep things out of the rain and such.
Well, does anybody else have any other questions? No, you did a great job with your justifications because it looked like that you had gone through and looked at the extraordinary conditions, the property, everything, the detriment.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So thank you very much for that because the irregular property line fits the extraordinary and the topography. Yeah, it all did real good. Do any of y'all have anything you'd like to add to this, or who would like to make a motion that we accept Noah Valera's proposal and provide him with variance?
I accept a motion that we accept his proposal.
I think we got to vote on them, all 5, don't we?
You
No, we
we
do
should
have to
go
go through
through
each
them
item.
and say whether or not
Okay.
you.
That's true.
Well, that sounds good then.
Yep.
All right. Would you like to read those for us, John?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion for justification A to approve it. Is that how you would phrase that? Like A
That you-
is,
they feel that the applicant
condition
has
has
met-
been met.
Exactly.
I'd like to make a motion that condition A has been met in the affirmative. Second?
Second.
Okay.
You want to vote on it?
Do we vote each one
I think
separately,
we
Jacob,
have.
or
We've
together?
been trying to do that. It just makes it a lot cleaner.
Okay,
If there was
that's
ever
fine.
a.
All right,
killer-
so everybody that agrees with the motion John has proposed? For A? Okay. All right. Then,
Let's keep going. I'll make a motion to approve that condition B has been met in the affirmative.
I'll second.
everyone approves of that? All right, good. C?
Make a motion that C has been met in the affirmative.
I'll second.
All in favor, raise their hand. D?
Make a motion that D's been met in the affirmative.
I'll second.
Let you carry this right on through.
Pass.
All right.
No, I'm not gonna say it.
Raise your hand if you approve. All right. And E?
Make a motion that E has been met in the affirmative.
Second.
All in favor, raise the right hand. All right. So with that, it looks like unanimously, we have approved the request for a variance for.
You still gotta do
Noah-
one more vote, just saying that you approve. Sorry.
Oh, we got
I
one
know,
more?
I know it's a little cumbersome, but this is the time, if you were gonna put any conditions or anything on, this would be the time. to do it.
Oh,
But
okay.
One more motion to say that you approve the variance.
All right, first of all, does anybody have any conditions that they would like to put on that?
So he's set by what was included in the package,
Yes,
correct?
if you-
So
if you-
the footprint and, okay.
What you'd be, well, to be very clear, the variance that you'd be given would be to be 17 feet, 6 inches from the front property line. The exact appearance of the carport, unless you put a condition in, could change. Just to be very clear about that.
So we need to make a motion that there are no changes to the design as it is right now, and then
Well,
it
that's
does?
up to you if you feel that's
That's
necessary.
what I'm asking, because
You don't have to. You can approve it as is, or you
I
can
think
put whatever
the
conditions you
whole
want.
reason we're here is because property line's wonky. Like, that's
Right.
totally
That's
shouldn't
it.
be there. And I think if he's gonna, this is my personal opinion, that if he's gonna put the time, energy, and money in to build something there, it
Exactly.
sounds like he's gonna do it really nice. So I'm not for handcuffing him if like something, the footprint is what
Yeah.
is what I.
That's what I was thinking, because there may be something he has to
Yeah.
fix.
Well, a gable turns this way and then
Yeah.
that way, it still looks,
And when
passing by, it looks the
it-
same, but.
Right. So, but do you put a condition on, 'cause this is new to me, do you have to put a condition, okay, it's only gonna be, it's not gonna be 0.7 inches, it's gonna stay at 0.6 inches, you know, sometimes.
Well, I mean, he can move it back. He would not be able to come any closer than 17
So
6.
do we have?
17 feet.
Yeah, you could even say 17 feet, give him a little bit of wiggle room. That's up to you.
Okay, so that's what I was asking was, do we put a condition like that onto it so that it's,
If you want to, if you feel it's appropriate.
what do y'all think?
I didn't understand what you were saying.
I'm good with it.
I'm fine with the way it is right now, but if there's something I'm missing.
When he comes in for a permit, the permit's gonna go to like building, zoning, and everything like that. When it comes to your desk, you're gonna verify he hasn't encroached
Correct.
into the 17 anymore. So I think I think the blanket, this is my opinion, you can chime in, but we limit him to what the 17 would really be the real, him coming to 17 would be where the real setback would be if that property line continued down the radius of the road, right? So we just say, if you want me to make this motion, but this is what I think I'm gonna say, is that the motion passes on the condition he doesn't encroach any further than 17. The motion passes on the condition that the front plane of the structure doesn't encroach more than 17 feet into the,
Well, isn't that basically what it says?
Yeah, if you just want that, you can say
17.6 from the front
approved
Just, yeah,
as
say
permitted,
that.
as
Say as
presented. You
proposed.
can just say,
Presented.
Yeah,
yeah,
As presented.
that's it.
that makes it so easy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would someone
It
like
doesn't
to
have to be
make a
complicated.
motion?
I make a motion that we approve it as proposed.
Second.
All in favor, raise the right hand.
All right.
That's all right, I'm not doing it, so it's okay.
Thank you, Noah.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your time. I know your jobs are thankless. I've been in your seats many times. So I'm good for 17.6 and roughly 19.6. Okay. Awesome. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, the next order of business is for a variation 24-B-02, and Jay Reams, is that correct? Is requesting a variance from section 305C8 to construct an accessory structure that is 1,620 square feet, whereas 900 square feet is allowed on 106 Alley Street. That's known as variance-000-219-2024.
Okay, so this variance is not for any setbacks. He did actually reduce the building by just 1 foot to come into compliance with setbacks. He meets the rear, front setbacks, and side. It is simply for the size of the accessory structure. We do have limitations to the size of structures in the city, and which is 900 square feet for any single size. You could have multiple 900 square foot building, accessory buildings on one lot, but that is the maximum size that we permit. It's a single-story building, and a metal construction is what's being proposed. He has shown landscaping to try to kind of lessen the impact from visually. And honestly, with that, it's zoned R20, and I'll turn it over to the applicant to give his presentation.
Okay, well, kind of where I'm at, why I'm wanting to do this is I used to own a business called TNT Sports. It's in Williamston. I was a baseball coach / softball coach for 17 plus years. And in that process, I've got 2 daughters that have started to want to play. And I've just sold that business, so I'm kind of done. But they have taken a high interest in it, and in coming home, I had a baseball
batting cage in my yard growing up, and I thought, well, what a time to do it now, at their time of just now starting into it. And in all of this coming home from my business, I've got tons of stuff over the 17 years. So it would be a batting cage as well as some storage from some of the stuff that I've accumulated over the 17 years of working at TNT. I will do whatever it takes to make it look appeasing to the neighborhood and whatnot.
All right, does anybody have, are you
Go ahead,
through?
go ahead, go
Are
ahead.
you through?
No, you're good, you're good.
Okay, so how are your neighbors feeling about
I've gone to every neighbor, personally spoken with each one. They're all game. They said, come on, do it. 2 of them, though, are renters, but so I've had to reach out and call the actual owners, and one of them actually lives in the neighborhood, and he said, yeah, go ahead. They've all said yes.
Okay,
So you're proposing 1,600 feet, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's gonna have power to it?
Yes, sir. It'll have to be lit up pretty good to be able to have a batting cage inside,
how tall is it?
13 feet.
So if I'm not mistaken, I drove through there the other day, and I believe it's your house that has the work done in the backyard.
Yes, sir, that's my house.
And is it being terraced in the back?
No, that's the lay of the land. There's rolling hills in our neighborhood, and as you go out my backyard, it rolls up a good 6 feet, easy, if not a little more, up to the platform where I would like to have the proposed structure.
So this structure would be 6 foot over the, what would you call it, where the land is down by your house. It would go up 6 feet and.
Yes, sir, it'd be up on the
structure.
higher part of the backyard, yes,
And
sir.
how tall would that structure be?
13 feet,
13 feet tall.
yes, sir. And the houses behind me there's probably 4 more rolling up hills to those neighbors' houses behind me. They're pretty high up above, so with that structure, I feel like they could still see down on my house because it's pretty high from my house to the houses behind me.
Go ahead, Valerie.
You mentioned that part of it would be used for storage. I don't pretend to be a baseball player, but is this structure the minimum size you need to use it as a batting cage, or is there extra space on it for
There's
storage?
barely any extra. The batting cage, a regulation size batting cage is 70 by 12 by 12. So, and then the proposed structure is 20 by 80 by 13. So I have
It's for softball or it's for baseball?
both. I say both. My softball goes.
I think, Valerie, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I mean, it could be, I could make it a smaller cage if it needs to be smaller.
That's gonna be the biggest hangup, is you're talking 1,600 feet when the reg is not, so you're pushing 2x.
Double, yeah.
So I mean, that's gonna be some of the question, if it's gonna be used for softball, which is typically about half.
The distance for a softball pitcher is 42 feet when they're in high school. So I would need maybe 50. Would 50 by 20 work?
Well, here's my take on it. He's allowed to have 2 900-foot. He's asking for 1,600 feet. He's allowed by right to put 2 900-foot structures in his backyard.
Yes.
The only requirement is they'd have to be 10 feet apart from each other.
Correct, yeah.
So theoretically, he could take,
This footprint is smaller than what the 900 feet.
I've got the new one right here. So theoretically, if he's got 20 by 80, he could chop 10 feet out of the middle of that and be in compliance. He'd be,
Yeah. But I think that
But then it wouldn't
would
work
work.
the way he wants.
If you chopped it in half, because he put throwing all the way.
well, what I'm saying is he could potentially skirt it by say, all right, 20 by 40 and a 20 by 40 and net the in-between.
Okay, yeah, I don't know anything about that, so.
He could have 2 structures facing each other.
But then it would be an open air structure.
The middle, the setback portion,
Well, the whole thing would have to be, if it's a batting cage. I mean.
Well,
if
he
that-
could net the top and the sides to keep
Right,
the
but
ball.
what I mean, it won't be a heated and air-conditioned structure at that point.
It's not something you could use in the wintertime.
You couldn't use it
Yeah, to
all
get-
year because it would be open to the elements.
50 by 20 is 1,000 square feet, which is,
It's still over.
just barely, only 100 square feet over.
So 20 by 45 is roughly 900.
Let me, okay, my question wasn't so much about the length. When I drove by, and this is following up on what you were asking, from the street, not from your neighbor behind, but from the street.
Yes, ma'am.
It looked to me like it was going to be sitting up above the roof line of your house.
It's close. I mean, my yard climbs up quick. It really does. I didn't even know I had that much back
So that's like 19 feet, basically. If that goes up about 6 feet and then another 13, you're looking at a 19-foot.
When I stand on that pad, I'm almost looking at my roof. I am. It's pretty high up.
Are there height restrictions or just square foot?
There are height restrictions, but he is below those.
And nothing depending on the elevation
Okay.
grade?
And there's no
No,
way you could
it's
grade it
about the
out.
grade that it's built on.
Okay.
I mean, I'd have to take out a bunch of, I'd have to get a bunch of dirt taken off.
Or you'd have to build a retaining wall.
Yeah, I built a retaining wall. I just got done with a small retaining wall with what I've done.
I mean, the variance is for the square footage, I think.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's for the
So it's
square.
not-
Question.
Yes, sir.
Now, you had said, I believe, that this was for your children, your
Yes,
two
sir.
daughters to use. A concern that I would have is, well, their teammates, would they be coming over to use it?
I would say
Then does
no.
it
I
become
mean, I
a
don't-
business?
I don't plan on, and I'm done with coaching other than my girls and their well-being in the sport. I don't plan on it. I'm looking for a different job. I kind of want to get out of the coaching scene and do something different.
Because my concern, granted, you might not be the coach anymore, but their coach might say, hey,
Hey, can I borrow your
can
cage?
we come
It's
and use your
raining."
cage
Yeah.
on Saturdays?
I know. I have thought about all those things, and you know, I don't plan on. No, I don't plan on allowing anybody to use it. I mean, I don't think I'd be a. I would say, yeah, come on, if you can come before this time. I don't want anybody in it late, but I don't plan on doing any of that.
Okay, I got a question for Jacob. Now, when we're voting on this variance would obviously stay with the property.
Correct.
So
This goes
if-
with the property, not the owner.
So if this gentleman sold his house, they would still have this building?
Yes.
And they'd be, unless we put limitations on what that can be used for, they could use it for any purpose they wish,
Yes, that's correct. Anything that is allowed under the zoning.
under this
So, I
zoning.
mean, they could not run a commercial business out of it, and
Couldn't make apartments out of
you
it.
could make apartments out of it. It would even be too big for making an in-law apartment out of it. They'd have to come for a variance review for that too, because that's limited in size too.
It could be a garage or a storage building.
It could be a garage and storage building, that's about it. So, I mean, accessory structure, there's all sorts of different uses, but this is just under straight accessory structure, so that is, he would not be able to, basically be limited to garage, storage, I don't know, whatever, you can play bocce inside it, I don't know. But,
It'd make a great wedding venue for your daughters.
Yes.
But again, you guys can put any limitations on you want. If you say, it can only be 1,200 square feet, 1,000, whatever, you guys have all that, or yes,
It's
no.
just so long.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I was concerned about because
What is more important? I guess what I'm looking at is if the square footage needs to be cut down, what would you be looking at?
The smallest cage I had two 40-foot cages at TNT at one time, and they were pretty cramped, but they will work. It's kind of hard to maneuver with the L screen and the
How wide were they?
12 feet.
So if you went to, let's just talk about 50, 55, 60. Could you do it with 50? Or 55?
I like that one better. 55 sounds way better.
It's still quite a difference.
Yeah, that's
Over
still,
90,
yeah.
over 900.
It's a lot more over 900, but it takes out,
I think I could make
600.
55 work.
and how long's your house?
My house is, I want to say 80 feet.
Do you want me to bring up the house? We can probably measure it if you want me to.
Yeah, because right now it looks like, if that's 80 feet, it looks like your house is not as long as that.
My house, my niece's.
Yeah, the size of this structure does concern me, and I do agree. I think, from my perception driving by, is that you would be able to see
It's
the
going to override
structure.
my house, yeah.
You know, and it sits, it's not below the house, hidden by the house.
Right.
Behind it, it stands out much more than the house itself.
Now, is there anything that we could do to prevent that, like putting like a fence from both
I
sides?
do plan on putting up a 6-foot.
Bunch of Leland cypress.
I'm gonna get Lelands. I'm gonna get Lelands around the yard.
That's not it.
I'm sorry, pulled up the wrong.
Yeah, a fence wouldn't help because, as you say, your
Yeah,
property goes
the
up.
Leland
so
cypresses would help.
You'd need a 20-foot fence.
So that dirt is where you've already started? Or is that,
Yeah, that's, isn't that?
I don't
where
think
it-
that's mine.
No, that's the wrong house. It pulled up the wrong one. Sorry. This is it right here.
There we go.
The house is about 78, oh, actually, no, it goes a little bit farther. So yeah, it looks about 85 feet wide.
Well, that does not look like what's on the drawing now,
I'm sure that's not the
yeah,
scale.
because the drawing
the drawing
shows it
looks
as much
like the
longer.
house is smaller than that. So really, it's not going to be obtrusive if it was that long, but I agree that, for me personally, it dwarfs your house.
Okay.
If we could, my mind says, okay, if you could have two 900 feet structures, then what you're squishing together is less than that.
I just kind of, when you ride by there, I feel like when I put a 13-foot high structure back there, it's going to override anything just because of the lay of the land, how it
Right.
climbs up. No matter what I do to put a cage indoor, it's going to be big. It's going to be, you're going to see it.
Even if he'd added
If you put a normal
carport,
shed, if you
yeah.
put a carport or a normal shed.
It's gonna do the same
still gonna
thing.
do the
Yeah,
same thing.
like-
You're gonna be the same.
Okay, here we go.
How wide is your property? Is it
100 feet.
100 feet?
Yes, sir.
So the house couldn't be 85?
There it is.
It's definitely not. The house is 75 feet wide.
Okay.
okay, so if it's 75 and you knocked it down to, this is just talking in my brain, if you made it 55, then it's gonna be more aesthetically pleasing as far as from the street view. There won't be anything maybe sticking out on either side. Or we have a decision to make.
Yeah, the 20 foot, so you need 12 foot for the cage, and the extra 8 foot's just for.
Yeah, like if obviously there's leeway when a ball hits a net, it'll,
You're not paying.
2 feet, yeah, I don't want
It's
it.
completely enclosed, so the balls aren't hitting the metal.
Correct. I want it to where it's kind of dampens everything. Nobody can hear it. I know when I had one growing up, everybody knew when we went. It's loud.
I guess what I'm stuck on here is he's allowed to put 1,800 square feet of accessory structure in his backyard.
Yeah,
He's proposing 1,600 square feet without a separation between them. So it's almost like a flaw in the ordinance, so to speak, that, you get so close to the forest, you see the trees, you can't see how do you say that? So
Yeah, you can't see.
he
the
just
forest.
you can put 1,800 in, he wants to put 1,600 in. How you configure it is you know, you're really, the main thing you're lacking is the setback 10 feet between them, which is arbitrary to say, well, what does that, you know, let's say, for example, he put 2 back there, okay, with a 10-foot setback. Would it look any different than it's going to look the way it is now?
Well, but by that reasoning, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Jacob, you could put any number of 900 square foot.
To a certain extent. 'Cause
Right.
we do have a lot coverage.
Right.
But it's pretty, you know, you could definitely put 2 of them on there
But
if you wanted.
you could.
He could orient them different, do,
You end up seeing people
Well-
say, well, I want to put 3 and I want to put, you know,
Yeah, there'd be a set limit. I forget what the max lot coverage is, but, you know, say it's
See,
40%.
that would just be
Now,
awful.
Jacob, if he wanted to do the 900, wouldn't he have to rotate it so that it went from front to back? Because the property line's not
Oh, yeah,
wide.
he would be able to fit 900 across, correct?
Yeah, so
Or they'd be wider or
there's-
something.
Yeah, one would
It's a
have to be
moot
this
point.
way, one would have to be, they'd be in an L shape,
Yeah, so you'd have to hit like,
which would defeat the purpose.
Right.
yeah, exactly.
how wide did you say that batting cage was, the smaller one that you had used?
It's 40 feet long, was the smallest I've ever
And
used.
the width, you said?
12 feet wide.
12 feet.
I mean, just my own personal opinion, but I don't think the width is really going to be the visual problem. I think it's when you're looking at it, the extensive
It's
length
the
of the
extent,
building.
yeah.
So I think figuring out any way that we can mitigate that is the real issue. But that's, you know, my opinion.
I was just looking at square footage somehow to,
Well, even if you, and this is me thinking again, even if you took and made it 60, okay, you're taking 20 feet off the side, coming in 10 feet on each side, you're still gonna be 15 feet smaller than his house. So it's not going to, from a neighbor's perspective, yes, you're gonna be able to see the roof probably, but that, he can't change the topography of the property. He can't, I mean, that's just the way the neighborhood was built.
Yeah, my yard is the water catch-all. The stream runs through my yard from all the houses up top.
so, I mean, he could put a 10, the same orientation, a 10 by 80 structure out there
Yes.
by right.
By right, you could, correct.
So, I mean, I guess that's where I'm kind of getting hung up on this.
50 by 15. By
No,
right.
but I'm saying that, so let's call it the width, the 80-foot width, he can do by right. So is it the depth or the width, or is it the combination of, it's just too big?
It's too big.
it's just too.
Yeah, I mean, this is there is a very unique character, it's one of the criteria is unique characteristic. It's the fact that it's a batting cage that is so long and skinny. I mean, most people are not going to build a 80-foot by 10-foot wide storage building.
Right.
They're just not going. But,
I'm banking on my girls wanting to play some softball.
Just think what a benefit for Clemson that would be.
yeah,
Hopefully one
having
day.
one day, two players be that good at softball when they get to high school, it's kind of a nice thing.
I know. Well, we've got a decision to make. Do we have the same sort of variance?
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt you. If we make a motion and it fails, is he precluded from coming back in a certain period of time?
Yes, if a variance fails, he can't come back with the same exact application for 1 year. He can alter it and come back.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Well, instead of y'all failing me now on the big one, because I feel like all of y'all are against the 80-foot, what about a proposed 61 right now?
That would be 1,200 square feet, 20 by 60?
You're going, you're taking off 400 square feet.
So you'd be basically taking another 10 feet off of each end.
Each side, yeah, condensing it in.
Okay. So am I allowed to make a motion?
Usually the chair asks for a motion.
May I have a motion as to what we are going to recommend for Mr. Reeves?
Are we recommending him to come back with a new proposal?
No, you guys can put any stipulation on it or not. You could say,
whatever.
I would feel comfortable approving this if it was 60 by 20. And then with that in mind, move forward with the, go through those, the what are they, 5 characteristics, and at the end, give the stipulation of that. But someone should iterate that before you guys start voting
I
on it.
think the 80 is too big, but I would be comfortable with the 60 by 20. I do think the view from the street matters, and I think that this would take care of that problem.
And I can place this on the land, because I think all of it, or even me, when I ride into my house, you look right through this angle right here, that's what you see. And what I can also do, instead of centering that in my backyard, so it's not the first thing you see, I can put it on the far right side, so my house kind of blocks the view of it somewhat as I place it. Does
I
that make
did notice
sense?
that
Oh,
is
okay.
Does that
what
make
you see.
sense?
Yes.
So are you saying reorient it instead of being vertical?
Yeah, instead of it being
horizontal?
centered as is,
Shift it.
I can shift it all the way to the
Yeah.
right side of my yard.
Well, just make sure you watch the setbacks if you're doing that.
The 20 feet would
Wherever
come
you're
off
coming.
the bottom.
But you're
The 20
right,
feet
when
would
you-
come off the bottom.
Yeah.
When you look at it from the street, what you see is exactly what you're talking about.
Is
You
that
see
left side, yes.
Okay, those are all good stipulations.
All right, sounds like everybody's got an idea. Who would like to put all those thoughts together into a motion?
I'll make a motion that it's 20 feet wide, 60 feet long, on the 10-foot setback. Is that the north or the east?
That's the north side.
On the 10-foot setback to the north side.
Second.
Oh, all right.
All in favor?
Forgot about that.
Raise your right hand.
Now, if you guys don't mind, just going.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Can it be less than 13 feet tall?
It's kind of hard, the cages, I've never seen a cage lower than 12 foot. They've only been higher than 12 foot anytime I've ever done them, and anytime I go to order them, they're 12 by 12 by, and then your distance. So the height has been 12 in most every cage that I've ever been in. And then I have a few at my business that are 15, 20 foot tall.
Okay.
I apologize, Ms. Ware, that vote, was that a 4 for it?
It was a
and one
4
against
for
it?
and-
Because I didn't see Mr. Beal's vote.
We did.
I didn't vote. I didn't vote for it.
Okay, so Google tells me that baseball batting cages, now this is from Practice Sports. Batting cages are typically a minimum of 70 feet long and 14 feet wide and 20 feet high. This allows proper usage by right-handed or left-handed batters without moving the plate, and safe uses without risking damage to netting for backswings.
So that's a little bigger than I've been stating.
Yeah. So we're gonna be smaller than that.
And I think that that would be justifiable. All right, so let's ask it one more time.
We just passed a motion though,
Yes,
right?
we did. We
You want
passed
to
the
rescind
motion.
it?
No, I don't want to rescind it. Everybody agreed, so
No, it did not.
not everybody agreed. 4 to 1 vote. It's a 4 to 1 vote.
So we'll go through now we go through the 5.
Yeah, if you don't
Yes,
mind
we
going
go
through the
through
justifications,
The variance.
Based on the
based on that alteration to the application.
Right, all right. Would someone like to read through those and we approve, vote on them each one?
Well, on the first one, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. I did not see any, I don't think that was proven. I think it's a straight piece of property. There was nothing extraordinary about it.
Okay.
I guess, like regarding that, I think you'd say on this particular piece of property, no more accessory structures would be allowed, right? We know you know, and I know, I guess maybe you don't agree with it or not, I don't know why I'm stuck on it, that he can put 2,700 feet of accessory structures on that piece of property by right. I think, for me, it's, I don't know, I think you just say, you know, as one of the conditions is there's no more accessory structures used on that property.
Okay, but there's nothing exceptional or extraordinary pertaining to the particular piece of property.
I mean, I guess other than the topography.
I don't see
Because I
that
think-
one.
That's not what he, but don't we have to go by what he says? What he put on here, or no? Because these are his justifications.
No, I mean, you guys can put your own, I mean, he's attempting to give his justifications,
Okay.
but you guys are welcome to, you know, take any information you
Okay.
want. And you can say that you agree with them, you think that there is, or you think that there isn't, it's up to you.
Okay.
Once again, I think one of the things that was a holdup or a hang-up for us was the fact that if it's 13 feet, people are gonna see it from the road. But he cannot do it any different way because you're the lower part, your
On
house.
the very bottom, yes, ma'am.
His house is on the very bottom. And you cannot make it any different than what it is. Even if he were to build any other, if he were to put 2 900-foot structures,
It's still.
they would still be towering over his property.
But for the variance of over 900 feet, there's nothing different, there's nothing exceptional about the piece of property, is what everything comes back to. Because he's requesting a variance for the 900,
Right.
and there's nothing special about the property that
We're looking at a
justifies it.
60-foot length.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I see here that you put pitching distance 60 foot 6 inches. Is this going to serve the purpose if you make it 60?
That's
feet?
only if I'm pitching. It will defeat the purpose, but I can do that outside.
Okay, that tells you what I know
The
about
the banging of the balls is really what I want to cut down for the neighbor's sakes, because I grew up with it, and I know it's kind of my brothers and I were in the cage daily, and it's loud. We had a pitch machine, and I mean, I know what it's like. So if I can ever get them in the cage a lot, making some noise.
If code enforcement, you're gonna become friends with them. Yeah,
I think the exceptional
Sounds like we're not
condition is the
gonna-
fact that if you're having a batting cage, you can't have it smaller than what.
Right, like if
But
I
I
can't do the structure,
He can't,
I'll
yeah.
put up a cage, and
That's
then it's gonna be,
The
If
question's
that's
about
the
the
use,
land.
yeah, it's about the property, not the use of what he's,
Yeah.
and I guess that's probably what we're getting hung up on.
Yeah, there's nothing exceptional about
About the
it's a square piece, well, rectangular piece of property. There's nothing exceptional about the way it's laid out.
Okay. The only, that doesn't really help, never mind. I mean, the only out of, like, no, there's really, I'm sorry, I got nothing.
Okay.
For comparison's sake, Mr. Waldero's property line was angled
Right.
in. And I think that's what Mr. Beasley is trying to say, is that in that case, with the way the property line was cut, that was why you guys approved Part A on that one. In this case, I don't think he's.
There's nothing about the property that makes it where he needs to build a structure this large.
And therefore, we have restricted it to 60 feet.
No,
But
we
it
have-
still puts it over. That still doesn't answer that question.
You're still over 900.
Okay.
There's no justification based off the property to be over 900 feet.
I think for me, the main hangup on that one is, you know, again, going back to my original point, I won't say it again, none of the neighbors object to it, but if it ever got challenged in court, that's where it would be a problem. I don't think anybody has a problem with what we originally proposed. However, if we approve A, you know, you're at risk of,
Right.
Yeah,
Because-
and there was a disapproval,
We did get an email from,
406.
somebody on
465 objecting to it.
yeah, objecting to the,
And this is not the, I mean, we did suggest smaller and come to an agreement, but we do have to
Go through these.
approve each of these 5 points, and this
the
is,
middle and the smaller.
Well, this is the sticking point. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. And what we're dealing with.
Is how my land climbs up?
But
Well,
that
if it was
doesn't have
like a
anything,
triangle or like,
it doesn't have anything to do with the size of the building.
it's, you've got like a perfect like rectangular piece of property, there's not like many restrictions on it that, or, you know, like the other guy, like Rebecca said, had this wonky,
Right.
that shouldn't even be that way. Yeah, I mean, you, like I said, we could approve it, but then if it got challenged, if the guy at 406, you know, got,
Yeah.
All right, so I have a question. Do each one of these things have to be approved? Each one of these items? There has to be a yes on all of them.
Yeah, that's what I was just asking Rebecca. And I think honestly, if that's the case, it doesn't meet A.
I don't think it meets B either, that these conditions do not generally apply to other properties. There's nothing exceptional, so
So, yeah, 900.
none of the other properties also have this.
I guess what we're saying is we could do it as much as we want to try to make it a smaller building, but if it's still gonna be over the size and there's no reason on the property that it needs to be over the size, then we don't have a justification here to do that.
Yes.
But then,
But I can put a cage up, it just won't be indoor.
right. But like to that point though, like in my opinion, is you're gonna spend, you've shown your costs on here, which I assume are relatively good. We've had people come in here before and just pound, you know, residents, no, I don't want that, I don't want that. Like, for example, the gentleman that was here before, he's gonna build something really nice there, right?
Right.
He could put something really awkward, obscure, and ridiculous in there by right, I'm sure, but the variance was approved because it's probably, one, it was the right thing to do because the property line's off, but two, I got the feeling it's gonna turn out really nice the way he did it. Now you could say, yeah, you're right, fine, I don't wanna do the building, I'm gonna come out there and pound a bunch of posts in the ground, have a bunch of crappy net, 13 feet in the air, that everybody's wondering, what do I have in my backyard? A jungle gym? Do I have, you know, so sometimes it's okay to, I know what you're saying, but sometimes it's okay to, like, this town doesn't use any common sense whatsoever, right? It's gonna get its doors shoot off downtown because they passed on a hotel, then they passed on a 600-bed deal, now we're gonna get a 1,300-bed deal because nobody used any common sense whatsoever. So in your case, it's gonna be really nice, it's, you know, so that's why I could get on board with it, but it's kind of hard with the A right now, but I do think what you're proposing is gonna be really nice, it's gonna be cool, or you can say, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna have this funky looking net in my backyard that everybody's gonna see when they drive by and go, geez, I wish he would have put a really nice $80,000 structure in his
As
backyard.
staff, make an attempt to make justifications for any of these?
Sure,
Okay.
that would be nice, because I'm
Okay.
on board with
So-
John.
because we've done all the,
The exceptional conditions that pertain to this particular property that are unique are the landscaping that he is proposing, the intent of the 900 square foot limitation is a visual thing from the neighbors. It is to prevent situations where a large building is just sticking out in the open that is visually obtrusive to all the neighbors. By the placement of his house, which is unique characteristic being kind of all the way to one side, and the clustering of the landscaping that he is proposing, it'll create a unique characteristic that will lessen the effects of this large building compared to what it would be on another property, therefore justifying A of the
the
qualifications.
placement of his house can be that.
The placement of his house and the placement of the landscaping can make those qualifications, along with the fence that he's proposing along the back to break it up from the neighboring in the back, which will actually be on the highest portion of the property that allows him to break up the visibility better than if it was just, flat.
So
But
what
his-
about B? That carries on to
B is the same thing. The conditions that generally apply to this property don't apply to neighboring properties. The neighboring properties do not have the landscaping plan that he is proposing with the Leland cypresses that will do a very good job of breaking up the visual impact of the building all the way from the ground to the roof. Okay,
What would the building be made of? What would the outside structure
It's
be?
metal.
Metal?
It's metal, yes, sir.
Is it blue, right?
It's not, that, the color is not, I'm gonna get it to, my wife says I'm gonna get it to match the house. So we're about to paint our house, so.
Smart guy.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Jacob,
no problem.
Thank you.
because it's a learning experience for us too.
I know, and it's,
And the wording, sometimes we don't know where we can go with that.
I understand.
Thank you.
Don't worry about it.
C.
Okay, so let's go back to A.
Okay.
You gotta pass it.
Everyone who agrees that there are exceptional conditions that would permit Mr. Reeves to build his structure as we have approved, 60 by 20, right?
I think we've already, we already passed that
Yeah,
motion.
we passed it.
I think I'm just gonna, here's what I would say.
You want to go through it
I would
again?
just say, based on the discussion we've just had, I would like to make a motion to approve A in the affirmative.
Second.
Second?
Second, all right,
All
vote.
right. Everybody who approves, raise the right hand. It's 4 and 1 against. B.
Based on the discussions we've had, I'd like to make a motion to pass B in the affirmative, that the conditions been met.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise their right hand. 4 for, 1 against. C.
Based on the discussion, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item C in the affirmative, that the conditions have been met.
A second, please.
Second.
All in favor, raise the right hand. 4 and 1. D, please.
Based on the discussion, I'd like to make a motion that D has been, the conditions on D have been met in the affirmative.
Second.
All in favor, raise the right hand. And lastly, E.
Make a motion to pass that E has, the conditions on E have been met in the affirmative.
All right. Second?
Second.
All in favor, raise the right hand.
Now, can I just get one more vote where you guys lay out clearly the stipulations? As I heard them, it was 20 by 60, and that it be pushed up to the northern setback of 10,
And we need to add the landscape as yours.
and that the landscaping be installed, Leland cypresses, similar to, yep, and fence.
All right. Who would like to make that motion, please?
I make a motion that we accept it at 60 by 20, moving it to the north and using the landscaping as similar to what's been shown on the plan.
Can we add one, I like that, but just add no more accessory
Yes.
structures can be built on that
Exactly.
property.
And no more accessory structures built.
All right, question.
Uh-oh.
No, it's not an accessory structure. I do want to add on to my house.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's not an accessory
That's
structure.
it, just making sure we're good.
No more barns.
No more barns.
Yeah.
No more barns.
Did we get a second on that?
No, is there a second? All right. All in favor of this motion, please acknowledge by raising your right hand. 4 is for and 1 against. With that being said, it looks like you're going to be building a 20 by 60 batting cage.
I know that's not as long as you wanted, but
It'll do.
If those girls need an 80-foot, just go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you, your daddy got up here to bat for you, so you better lay ball.
You better see it, that's all I'm gonna say.
And then when it comes time to planting, we're gonna go out there in the field and field adjust exactly where to put them to break up the visibility.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
And the
I put an arrow here to push this
Yep.
thing all the way over here.
Yeah, or those arborvitae's.
Yes.
We'll go out there,
Yeah,
we'll make sure they do it the best, we'll go out in the street, walk
John, I think
around.
that was-
After you get the building built, we'll go
Have
out there
to
and do
say that.
landscaping just
No
right.
more no more structures.
But yeah, thank you all. All right, see you.
Thank you.
All right, with that being said, staff reports, do we have any staff reports?
Nothing?
Other business?
Nope.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Seconded?